All right, guys, we're going to get this show rocking and rolling. It's Monday, baby. Mondays are busy, as you guys know. A lot to cover on today's show. Including a tremendous amount of news last week that we need to offer our take, our perspective, and our analysis on. You, the viewer and listener, can contribute to the broadcast. There is no place in Charlottesville or Central Virginia that has become more of the water cooler of what matters than the I Love Cville network. We offer topics, commentary, and perspective of stuff that actually is real and matters, and long-form content where we can take a deep dive on absolutely everything. Parents, I know what you care about because I'm getting bombarded left and right, and please keep it coming with your concerns. I'm grateful to hear from you. We are in the same boat together. Scott Aaronworth in Virginia Beach, what's up, my friend? How about that UVA victory over the weekend? If that wasn't a heart attack on a platter, I don't know what was. Old Dominion University came to Charlottesville and scared the bejeebus out of us. We're going to talk a lot on today's program. Judah Wickhauer is our director. The bus driver shortage is getting worse. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. We need to talk about this today. We got to find solutions, and people like John Blair have come up with solutions. JB, if you're watching, let me know. We have some astute viewers and listeners, and John Blair is one of them. Scott Aaronworth is one of them. Jim Hingley is one of them. Lloyd Snook is one of them. Attorneys watching the program. Scott Aaronworth says that victory was like 5 double Gus burgers. A heart attack on a platter. No doubt, my friend. The most I've ever eaten was a triple Gus. Give the show a like and a share. Hammer the like button right now. Hammer it for us all, please. Hammer it for us all, please. Judah Wickhauer is going to offer some compelling perspective today. The jack of all wits, JW. Should we keep singing the initials, Judah? One more time?
Yeah, if you really want to.
JW. I don't think he likes my singing as much as I enjoy doing the singing itself. Come on, sing us a little. You're not on camera yet. Give us a little 5 seconds of crooning, please. Anything you want to croon, please, Judah.
I need a little more lead time on that.
Just come on, anything you want to croon. Anything. Just shoot from the hip. You're the jack of all wits. You're witty. JW. You got something for us?
No, I don't really want to sing.
He doesn't have anything for us. Alan Polson, welcome to the broadcast. It's just called having fun. It's just called having fun. All right, Judah Wickhauer, my friend. Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll, Judah. Let's rock and roll.
Quiet on the set.
Good Monday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love Cville show. Thank you kindly for joining us. An absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love Cville network. We're presented by the Clifton and Keswick, the best guys of the best. The Clifton and Keswick, Virginia happy hour dining, memorable experiences like weddings and date night and corporate retreats. The grounds are lush. The pool is beautiful. The staff impeccable. The Clifton and Keswick, your choice. Do it for date night, do it for happy hour, and tell your friends and family about the weddings at the Clifton. They are spectacular. Today's show is dynamite. It is absolutely dynamite. If you did not catch the shows we did on Friday, you missed 2 of the best shows we have ever done in the history of the I Love Cville show. It started on Friday morning. With Neil Williamson himself, the king of content, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. And during Real Talk on Friday, with Neil Williamson sitting across from this boardroom table, I learned firsthand that the public schools are not required to provide transportation for our students to and from school. If you watched the show, you saw me mouth agape as I was processing and digesting that news. Last night, I posted the news on the I Love Cville network, And since then, it has gone absolutely viral. Absolutely viral. We've heard from parents that are beyond concerned. They're livid, they're infuriated. We've heard of kindergartners having to walk close to a mile to a bus stop just to spend 2 hours on a bus one way and 2 hours on a bus on the way home. Kindergartners spending 4 hours round trip on a school bus. I heard from another family whose first grader had to get on a high school bus just to get off the bus, then to ride an elementary and middle school bus. Livid, infuriated, angry, people searching for solutions, and darn it, we're going to get to some solutions today. Solutions that John Blair has posed that I think are dynamite, absolutely dynamite. Solutions that we have posed that we will stand by with confidence and with conviction on today's program. It's about damn time we pay teachers and bus drivers their worth. Judah and I will discuss that in a matter of moments on today's show. We're going to talk some more news from the Home Depot Fashion Square Mall purchase. More content for you, more news, not reported, not found anywhere else besides the I Love Seville network. We'll talk Old Dominion football and the University of Virginia football team. Tony Elliott's boys are 2-1. Tony Elliott's team has struggled, but they're still 2-1. And I'm going to put a 2-1 start to the season in perspective. It's a football team with not many 10-win seasons. In fact, you want to know, Scott, maybe you got this answer. You want to know how many 10-win seasons the Virginia football team has had? Anyone want to wager how many 10-win seasons the University of Virginia football team has had in program history? They've had one 10-win season in 132 years of football. They've only had 7 9-win seasons in 132 years of football. Our team is 2-1 on the season. Is the offense struggling? Absolutely. But can we for a second take a step back and realize we got the victory on Saturday? And why don't we champion and cherish a team that's trying to work its way through a new head coach in Tony Elliott? And the boo birds and the naysayers and the folks refusing to show up to Scott Stadium to support this team, shame on you. 3 games in and we're 2-1. Give Tony Elliott a chance. That topic on today's show. Judah Wickhauer is the jack of all wits. Can we go to the 2-shot, Judah? Can we go to the 2-shot, please? Please first wave to your adoring fans. Blow them a kiss if you may. And if you'd like to sing them a tune or two, the show is yours, my friend. Please, please do.
All right, I'll let you know when I get started.
Okay. It's handled very well, my friend. The topic is clear. The chatter around the water cooler, which is what this show is, has been about our children. And I want to offer a little perspective for the viewers and listeners watching the show, Judah. My wife and I have a 4.5-year-old, rising kindergartner. You see him maybe once a week, sometimes twice. He's absolutely in love with your dog, Liza. Showers Liza, your dog, with treats, almost at the frequency and clip of the distinguished gentleman. Talks about Liza constantly. We have a second little boy due around Thanksgiving. We're under 10 weeks. In fact, on Tuesday, it's the 9-week marker.
Nice.
For number 2 around the corner. And as a result, my friend, we are now pouring our hearts and souls into what is kindergarten going to be like for our oldest? How are we going to manage kindergarten for our oldest while my wife, the foundation of our family, has a newborn baby on her hands? A newborn, which we all remember, sleeps very little, needs mom more than any other parent, and commands attention like few people of any age command. So we're looking into school bus as a way for our son to get to and from school potentially, to help my wife navigate a demanding newborn baby at home. As Judah, we take this deep dive into this rite of passage for our oldest.
So he'll be starting kindergarten in...
Less than a year from now.
Yeah.
Less than a year. As we do the research, meet with the teachers, talk with the neighbors, assess a plan, put together a plan, troubleshoot difficulties, we're left demoralized, disenchanted, disturbed, disgusted, downright downtrodden. The school is 3.1 miles away from our house. 3.1 miles can take about an hour at times.
Damn.
1 hour. 3.1 miles. We're doing everything we humanly can to figure out alternative means of transportation. We're even considering if the public school in our district is the right path for him. I want to weave you into this conversation because you're a man and a voice of reason. Yours truly, me. Viewers and listeners know I'm an emotional guy. I lead with my heart, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve. You also don't have children, so you can look at this dilemma from a bird's eye view that's not clouded by love in wanting what's best for our children. So your perspective and your reason is valuable. I'm going to ask you for advice on the show. Often in this scenario that we call work, it's me pushing advice on you. I'm going to sit back and listen to learn. A kindergartner spending 2 hours on a bus, round trip, if the bus shows up on time. Our friend Kevin Higgins on Facebook Messenger, the king of Greenwood, sent us a screenshot from Albemarle County Public Schools where the Western Albemarle High School and the Henley Middle School bus was delayed 2 hours. They got that notification at 7:03 in the morning.
Yeah.
Kevin let us know that he was fortunate and he could drive his kids and a couple other neighborhood kids to school because he had a little freedom with his work.
Right.
When he got back, he saw the kids still waiting by the bus station, by the bus stop in the neighborhood. So I'm going to stop and I want to weave you into the conversation. No kids. Judgment not clouded by love that we have for our offspring. Anywhere you want to go on this topic.
Well, I think what Kevin Higgins did was great, and I think we need to see more of that. I think we need more people who are aware of their neighbors, aware of their neighbors' children and their needs, and the willingness to be communal, to be a community. I've mentioned community before on our show, and I think there's too much of just hoping that somebody's going to take care of something, and not enough banding together. There have to be. I imagine there have to be other families in your neighborhood who have children, whether they are the same age or different ages, chances are they may be going in the same direction. And rather than hoping that a bus is going to take care of something, we've seen plenty of comments in the on your Facebook page bringing to light the fact that the schools in Virginia are not required to provide buses except in special cases. And I think it would behoove people to look around, talk to their neighbors, find out about other families with children, and coordinate. I mean, that's what people have been doing for as long as there have been schools.
It's a great answer. Carpooling, pooling resources, utilizing the economies of scale that come with groups pulling their resources together. Here's the challenge. We talked about this last week. The car seat challenge is a real one. Our son, if in a carpool scenario, even for a short 3.1 mile ride, would need to sit in a car seat.
Okay, I don't know anything about car seats. Is there an age limit? Does
It's
it
a weight
top out?
limit.
Okay,
It's a weight limit for the car seats.
all right.
The car seats, if moms and dads watching the program, they are heavy and they are far from affordable. So undoubtedly, one way to solve this dilemma is to have potentially more than one car seat. If you have 2 kids, maybe you need 4 car seats, and you can utilize those extra car seats as a way to facilitate carpooling. The tough part with these car seats, they are hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of dollars.
What about, I mean, I feel like there's not enough people working together on this. Like, if the school system knew that they had to send a bus for kindergartners, then couldn't they be taken care of with a school bus, and then older kids could be gotten to school through carpooling?
Judah's talking reason and common sense. The older kids have a license. Maybe they have access to a car for carpooling. But again, that prioritizes the families that have an extra vehicle for their son or daughter to drive.
But I'm not just talking about the older kids driving. I'm also talking about the kids that need a car seat, and I guess unless they're in a bus.
Travis, Hackworth, and Danville, some of these car seats are well more than $400 per seat. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's why I'm saying, what if you specified that you had a bus to go and pick up anyone of a weight that requires a car seat, so they can get to school on a bus, and I didn't mean to suggest, certainly some kids will be driving once they're old enough, but younger kids would still need a parent. Those parents that would be carpooling can carpool the children that don't need car seats.
Another great suggestion. I want to bring up a suggestion from John Blair. John Blair is watching the program. John Blair, we have monikered him the king of knowledge. One thing I know about John Blair is he's extremely well read. He's a father, he's a husband. He is a man of vision. And he took the DeLorean and he set the flux capacitor, John Blair did. And the flux capacitor on the DeLorean was set to rural Virginia in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And John and Marty McFly and Doc Brown, they crammed together in this DeLorean and they went to Pittsylvania County, Virginia in the 1960s.
Yep.
And as the DeLorean shot through space and landed in a palatial, green, farm. John and Marty and Doc got out. They did some reconnaissance. And they found and they remembered that in Pittsylvania County, youngsters, seniors in high school, often drove the school buses to and from school.
Yeah.
I'm going to read verbatim from JB's comment on LinkedIn, which we syndicated across the I Love Seville network. He says, JM, when my dad was in high school, he drove a school bus. The junior marshals at his high school in Pennsylvania County, Virginia, were given the opportunity to drive a school bus their senior year. My father did so. Jerry, why cannot the local school divisions look at a similar program? Take mature kids in their senior year this semester and get them their CDLs if they choose to join the program. Then they could drive the second semester of the year. Then make it a reoccurring program every year. Jerry, if kids in rural Virginia in the 1960s could drive a school bus their senior years, why can't it be done nowadays? Also, Jerry, one final note. There wasn't a bus aide on the bus. My father literally drove the bus by himself as a 17-year-old student. This was common practice for rural Virginia in the 1960s. He also did this. This is the kind of man John Blair is. He picked up the phone and called his father to get more reconnaissance on this topic. And here's the second comment he left. Jerry, as you know, there will be a million reasons that this process or program cannot be done. But if we allow minors to be firefighters, to fix our food, and to serve as lifeguards, can we not trust them enough and train them enough to be our bus drivers? If we truly care about children, then we need to find solutions to get them to and from school before the weather turns bad. Look for the how and not the why not. Look for the way to make it happen and not for the reason for it to fail. By the way, here is the statute that allows kids 16 and older to serve as volunteer firefighters in Virginia. Let's get to yes, my friend. I know you care about the kids and want to find a way to make sure they can get to school as well. Two-shot, if you could, please. "16-year-olds can fight fires." Yet folks have issues with seniors in high school that are older than 16. They're 17 and 18 years old, driving buses to school. Where do you want to take that?
What do you mean folks have a problem?
We shared John's comment all over the I Love Seville network.
You're talking about their responses.
Yeah.
They make some interesting points.
Mark
though.
L. Brown, for example, I don't know if Mark L. Brown, I think that Mark K. Brown immediately shot it down. Here's what I've found in life. You and I have this topic. We have what I'm about to say. This is a point of friction for us in this studio, in this office. Change is hard. New things are difficult to digest. And the immediate response, I'll get out of your way in 1 second. The immediate response to change and new things, for some, is let me find the reasons it cannot work. Interestingly, for others,
that's
and
not
maybe
a response to change, though.
It's the response to new things. Something that's different, that has not been done in the past, a nuanced element.
It clearly has been done in the past. You just took us on a time machine journey.
60 years ago. You're right. It's been done in the past. It's just 60 years ago.
Yeah.
60 years ago. When we try different things, some people in life immediately say, this cannot be done and here are the reasons why. While others in life say, yes, that's not a bad idea. Let's figure out how to make this work. And I'm not throwing shade on either side. It's just how people are wired. Some people are wired differently. Some have an affinity for risk-taking. Some like a process, plan, and clear-cut expectations, while others can fly by the seat of their pants and pivot and adapt. Neither is wrong, neither is right. That's just the fundamental difference between some men and some women. It's just what it is. Oftentimes you'll see entrepreneurs have the mindset of change is good and embrace it. Oftentimes you will see team members have the mindset of, I want a clear-cut path to success and I don't want to deviate from it. Neither is right and neither is wrong. Not throwing shade at either party. Jump in here with what you were saying.
Well, I think that's an oversimplification because it's not just about change. I think some people make some good points. 60 years ago was a long time ago, and not just in our attitudes and our responses to things. You also have the way children behave today. Somebody mentioned this in the comments that it's not the same people that are going to be riding those buses. It's going to be kids with zero attention spans who have their own phones, who believe they can do anything they want, and asking a 17-year-old to somehow be an adult in that situation. And you're right, they are allowed to become junior firefighters and to do other things.
ROTC.
And so it is something definitely worth looking into, but it's not the same as 60 years ago. And to say that people have a problem with it just because it's change, I think is disingenuous, because that's not the only reason why people have a problem. And I think just like in the best of our political system, it is two sides balancing out and finding common ground and a good solution. I think in this case and in many other cases, it's not just about people saying no, change bad. It's about people saying, look, you can't just go ahead and do this and not look at the problems, because problems need to be solved. And you yourself, if you didn't like this idea, would be coming up with all the reasons why it's not going to work. And so what we need is to take these two sides, and if this is something that seems like a plausible solution, we need to, yes, find a way to make it work, or once and for all say, look, it's just not gonna fly.
So I'm going to ask, great take. Give Judah Wickower props for that take. Hammer the like button for Judah Wickower, who clearly is bringing his A+ game. Judah Wickower, phenomenal take. I'll give him the round of applause button here. Georgia Gilmer, I'm sharing the statue that says that this literally can happen. The Virginia statue here. I'm tagging you in the post and sharing the link. I'm going to put this statue, John Blair sent this to me. This is for VA fire that a 16-year-old can serve in a firefighter capacity. I find it troubling that a 16-year-old can fight fires. Yet we have an issue with 17 or 18-year-olds driving school buses. I find that a contradiction. I also find this troubling, and I put this in the comment section. Bob Yarborough, the king of Redfields, we love you, Bob Yarborough. He says the insurance, I say that word funny, my wife makes fun of me for saying that. Insurance? Very Southern. He makes this comment, Bobby Yarborough, the king of Redfields, love Bob Yarborough. I cannot even imagine how much insurance would be for a 17-year-old bus driver. It's a great point. My counterpoint to that is this. A local transportation company, and I put this in the comment section, a local transportation company has insurance coverage for driving people from breweries to wineries as they're getting hammered, and is able to cover the insurance overhead no problem.
But that's a for-profit business, and I doubt that they have 17-year-olds driving.
No, they definitely do not have 17-year-olds driving on Seaville Hop-On tours. But they are driving from brewery to brewery and winery to winery, hammered people in a vehicle.
Yeah.
and hammering people in a vehicle, I would imagine, are creating a little bit more legal liability or exposure than sober people in a vehicle when it comes to distractions for the driver. I would imagine the insurance coverage for driving around people that are hammered, even for a for-profit business, is going to be much greater, that coverage, than a business that's driving sober people around. That seems like common sense, right?
Unless those are people's children. I mean, I don't know. This is all.
We're just using common sense. This
I know,
is
but
called
it's all speculation.
Speculation is one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is just common sense. You need oxygen to breathe. If the oxygen is clean, it's going to help you breathe a little bit better. This is common sense. If there's drunk people on a bus and sober people on a bus, which insurance coverage is going to be more costly? The drunk people that could distract the driver, or the sober people?
That could distract the driver.
Which is more likely to distract the driver, or not follow the rules?
I'm not an insurance agent.
All right, now you're just being standoffish, and the viewers and listeners can see through that.
I'm not being standoffish, Jerry.
I need you to understand that the viewers and listeners are sophisticated enough to see through that kind of behavior.
It's not behavior, Jerry.
Anyone realizes that wasted people on a bus are going to be more of a distraction for the driver than sober people. This is common sense.
It makes sense logically.
Okay. This is just common sense. This is the eye test.
All right, well, I'll let you have it.
No, we're having a conversation. Don't start feeling sorry for yourself now.
When you tell me that people see through, Jerry, I'm providing my own set of common sense, and that's that you have no idea what the cost of the insurance would be in either of those cases, or in the case of a 17-year-old driving a bus full of children. I agree with you on the merits of your logic.
It's just basic common sense that wasted passengers will be more costly to insure than sober passengers. That's all I'm saying.
You're getting very passionate about this.
I'm not getting passionate. I'm just, you're doing the nitpicky thing that you often do.
That's what I'm here for, Jerry.
I mean, depends on the day. I think this nitpicky is a battle you don't want to try to win.
Okay, then I'll give it up.
I mean, it seems odd that this is the battle you're trying to pursue.
I just point out flaws in logic when I see them.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the private business that's chauffeuring around sober people, they're going to have more costly insurance than the private business that's chauffeuring around wasted people. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure how you got that. I never said.
What exactly are you saying then?
I'm saying you're speculating. That's all I said.
Okay, and my response to that is I'm basing what I'm saying on common sense.
Okay.
This is one of the ways we've been able to build this, is to make decisions based on common sense.
All right, well, now you're getting off the point, so I'll let you continue.
Okay, all right. We regress because of the nitpickingness. Why would we allow a 16-year-old to fight fires and an 18-year-old not to drive a bus? Does anyone have that answer? Why would we allow an 18-year-old to fight for our country and put his or her life on the line in a war, but that 18-year-old can't drive a school bus? Does anyone have... Can we go back to the two-shot?
I don't have the answers to those questions.
Why can an 18-year-old fight for the United States of America, hold an assault rifle, and wear military fatigue, go to battle, and fight for our freedom, but that 18-year-old can't drive a school bus with kids in it? Anyone? Does anyone find any catch-22? Anyone find any, what's the word?
I'm pretty sure a graduate with a CDL can drive students.
Oh, the kids can't, the seniors in high school will get a CDL. They're not driving the bus without a CDL. John Blair clearly said in his comment to me that when his dad was driving the bus in the 60s, they had CDLs.
Yeah.
They were trained with CDLs.
I know.
So the seniors in high school, we need to reiterate that. The seniors in high school that would be picked for this program are the mature ones, and then they are trained with CDLs. They're not just saying, oh, that dude's freaking mature, man. He drives a Honda Civic really well. Let's put him in a school bus. or that girl, she's got a 4.4 GPA. She's part of the National Honor Society, the Key Club, and she's doing some really good things with the candy stripers at the hospital. Let's put her in a school bus and drive kids around. They're going through CDL training.
Yeah.
Okay? My issue is you can risk your life in a war for the country, yet people have issues with that same person driving a school bus to school. That's some BS in my eyes. Okay? So whether we want to admit this or not, we are at a crisis with getting kids to school. Would you say, is it fair to say this is a crisis?
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I'd say it's more a crisis with the time and the loss of of time with these kids having to wait outside, and what's going to happen when the weather turns to 40 degrees, rainy, snowy, and you've got a kid waiting outside for an hour or more.
Right. I mean, another great point by Judah. This is like this is the tip of the iceberg. Standing around at a bus stop when it's 85 degrees sucks.
Yeah.
You know what sucks some more?
Freezing your patooties off.
Standing around at a bus stop when you got 20 to 18, 10 degree weather.
It's doubtful we'll be getting down that low
We get 18 degree weather in Charlottesville.
Rarely
18 degree weather. We lost power for an entire week in Keswick when ice was all over the limbs and the temperature was single digits. Do you remember that earlier this year?
Yeah.
Single digit temperatures for a week plus. That was one of the reasons it kept us all inside.
Okay.
Either way, the point is, this is, as Judah said, it's not going to get better as the months get colder.
Yeah.
Fair?
Very fair.
Very fair. Thank you. So we're just trying to brainstorm solutions. One of the solutions is, why not consider this program from yesteryear? Solution number one, why not consider the program from yesteryear? And if we want to put it up to a vote based on school or school system, do a referendum, whatever you want to call it, let's make it democratic. I'm all for democracy, right? Let's put it up to a vote. Solution number one. Solution number two, we've suggested this multiple times. Why do we not have smaller vehicles to transport these kids that do not require a CDL? Smaller vehicles to transport these kids that do not require CDL. When I was playing soccer in high school growing up,
somebody got you to the match.
The person who got us to the match was the senior, at one time was a senior in high school. It was the female team manager. Drove the team to the match because the coach couldn't get there on time. Why aren't there smaller vehicles for people to drive that don't require CDLs that the county can utilize to bus kids around? I'm not talking school buses, I'm talking vans. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's option two. Option number three. Ready for this one? Why is the superintendent of Albemarle County Public School System, who has a CDL, not driving school buses right now? Why isn't he driving school buses right now? He has a CDL. Number one dog in the school system. Why isn't he driving a bus right now? Why aren't they training?
I don't find that to be a serious question, though.
Why aren't they training staff, auxiliary staff, to solve this problem? Why are the superintendents, the assistant superintendents, and upper management not filling in as a stopgap and trying to solve this problem? Driving buses themselves, if they have a CDL, or going through rigorous training to obtain a CDL to solve this problem. That's option three. Option four, another one that could cause a little friction in this community. Why are we not utilizing the dollars being allocated for rebranding schools to pay bus drivers more money? What could solve the bus driver crisis in a school system? paying them more money. It's all about the dollar bills, right? And you want to know what's going to back that up? You know what I will utilize to back that statement up? Louisa County raised the pay for bus drivers. And the pay for bus drivers in the Louisa County public school system, Doug Straley made this move. Doug Straley was one time the athletic director of Louisa County High School. Doug Straley hired the late, great Mark Fisher to be the head football coach of Louisa County football. Louisa County football was nothing until Mark Fisher and Doug Straley made Lion Nation and the Jungle what it is today. Doug Straley is a man of vision. I've known Doug Straley since I was a second year at the University of Virginia, and he was the athletic director of Louisa County High School. And he would encourage me to come out to Louisa to cover the football games by romanticizing and seducing me with pork barbecue platters, dinners, said, Jerry, you can file your story from the game in my office. You can use my personal computer, cover our team, get us in the newspaper, and we will roll out the red carpet for you. We will give you a VIP box seat in the box to cover the high school game. And you know what? When you're a second year in college and you make no money because the Daily Progress pays peanuts, I'm talking $8 an hour. $8 an hour. In fact, Bob Yarborough, you'll appreciate this. I was a stringer my second year of college at the Daily Progress Sports Department. A stringer, not even a full-time reporter. I was getting paid $30 a story. $30 a story to drive to Louisa to cover a football game from Charlottesville. And I was doing that just to get some experience. And Doug Straley said, Jerry the stringer, come cover us. Here's dinner on the house. You can use my computer in my office to file your story, and we're going to give you the best seat in the jungle in the press box right next to the announcer. We'll give you the seat next to you completely open so you can spread your notes around and you can really have a lot of room to cover us. And you know what? I was at that football game. I was in the jungle anytime they had a home game. And Doug Straley went from athletic director to principal, to now superintendent of the Louisa County Public School System. And you know what Louisa County Public Schools is doing right now? They have a full fleet of bus drivers. The Louisa County Public School System is the only public school system in Central Virginia to have an entire fleet of bus drivers. They're not missing one single one. And you know what Doug Straley did to get a full fleet of bus drivers, Judah? You know what he did?
I mean, I can guess the obvious answer.
What is it?
He paid them more money.
He said, I'm going to look at the pay scales of every school system in Central Virginia with bus drivers. And I'm going to pay my bus drivers more than every single damn one of them. Louisa. I'm going to give my bus drivers more money than any other competitor in Central Virginia. And guess what Doug Straley has? He doesn't have a school bus driver shortage problem. This is a national trend. A national trend, bus driver shortage, is a national trend. But freaking Louisa County, Virginia solved it. And you know how they fucking solved it?
More money, more money, more money.
There you go. There's your barometer. They gave them more money. Why do we work? To get paid. Why do we go to a job? To make money. Why do we punch a clock? To get money. But the priority in Albemarle is, should we rebrand Meriwether Lewis? The priority in Jack Jewett Middle School, despite 79.4%, Vanessa Parkhill taught me this. Queen of Earlysville, watching the show right now, Vanessa Parkhill. 79.4% of the parents at Jack Jewett Middle School, 79.4%, Judah, 79.4% said no. They voted no. They voted no to changing the name of Jack Jewett. The parents of the kids in the middle school in a survey said 79.4% do not change the name. School board, superintendent's office did it anyway. Did you know when the committee and the administrators decided to change the name, despite the 79.4%, they didn't even go with the most popular name the parents wanted? They went with the fourth most popular one. Vanessa Parkhill, she taught me this.
Yeah.
And now we have Journey Middle School, the fourth most popular name on the list.
Yeah. Sounds like they just picked the one they liked the best.
Yeah. Exactly right, right? And you said this last week. What is the point of the pomp and circumstance of these surveys if they just are going to pick what they want anyway?
Yeah.
What is the point of asking for democracy with parents, the taxpayers that fund the schools? The taxpayers that fund the schools, if they're going to ignore the parents anyway? That's called pomp and circumstance. Nothing of palpable or tangible value. And that's some BS, man. And people are asking, you know, why are you so passionate about this? Because my kid is a rising kindergartner. And because our second kid that is in my wife's stomach right now and not even born is going to cause a significant time consumption for my wife, a newborn baby. And we want to figure out methods and methodologies of quality of life for our newborn, for my wonderful wife, for my son, and for me. And one of those methodologies is getting a method of transportation for our oldest to and from school that does not consume my wife's time, that will be breastfeeding, not sleeping, staying up with our newborn baby, certainly throughout the day. I have the graveyard shift because she's doing the brunt of the work like she always does in our house. Always she has the brunt of the work. I go to work, and on Mondays at 8:15, when I'm driving my kid to school, I'm sprinting for the car to go to work. Sprinting. Because the weekend was long. And any mom and dad that's watching this program can undoubtedly relate to what I'm saying right now. She is the foundation of the family. Does all the heavy lifting at home. My job is to come in here and make some money. Doing a thing that I love to do. I'm fortunate I love my job. I've made my passion my profession. And I'm good at it. So we're trying to figure out, we're trying, Judah. We're trying to figure out how to get our oldest to school. But Mama Bear ain't going to stand for a 2-hour round-trip bus ride. And neither will me. Neither will I. So that's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I care so much about this. And then we talk about what we care about on this show because it makes for great content. When you're talking about something you care about so much, it makes the content that much more compelling. And then as I've talked about this struggle on this talk show, other parents have risen from the clay around these Blue Ridge Mountains and said, Jerry, we have the same issue. And good God, it's way worse. The single moms and the single dads. The folks that are in Afton, deep in Albemarle County.
Yeah.
The folks on the Barbersville line, right there next to Orange, deep in Albemarle County. The folks that are deep in Scottsville, almost to Buckingham. They got it way worse. Kevin Higgins in Greenwood got a text message at 7:03 in the morning. The school bus is going to be 2 hours late. At 7:03 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
What if he had to go to work?
Yeah.
So I implore, I beg, I ask respectfully, I demand, I'm persistent, maybe aggressive. I will not stop. I will continue bringing the momentum and tempo at rates and clips the school system has not even felt or seen before. If you don't solve this problem, you will continue feeling this attention. and this passion from yours truly. And we will utilize every iota of influence this platform brings with it until the problem is solved and remedied. And I'm tired of a convoluted or clouded judgment associated with rebranding schools. Do I think Sutherland has some terrible things in his past, racist things in his past, horrible things in his past? No doubt. No doubt. Undoubtedly. Sketchy ass past, no doubt about it. But the number one priority right now for us as a school system is to get kids to school on time. Literally the number one priority for a public school system, in this order. Number one priority, get your kid to school on time. That is the number one priority for a school system. The number two priority for a school system is to get your kid home safely on time. Number one, get your kid to school safely on time. Number two, get the kid home safely on time. Number three, create an equitable learning environment in the classroom and within the hallways of the schools. That's the priorities for a public school system. They're top three. For any school system, certainly the public school system. Number one, get the children to school safely on time. Number two, get the kids home safely on time. Number three, create an equitable learning environment for children in the schools. In that order. And numbers 1 and 2 aren't being met. Numbers 1 and 2 are not being met. And you want to know the ramifications of this? Want to know what the ramifications of this are? Want to know if the ramifications of all this are? Your middle class and your upper class kids in public schools are leaving at a clip never seen before. Enrollment is dropping, and it's dropping fast. The bus drivers are quitting. The teachers are quitting. And if we're not careful, the public school systems are going to become bastions or epicenters or fishbowls of financially margined students and families. And when you get to that point, you have a wealth and educational gap that is going to be very difficult to overcome and to recover from. You know what's happening here? Judah, you know what's happening here? Literally, before our eyes, it's the gentrification of education. This is the gentrification of education. My family is legitimately, and we are far from wealthy, we are legitimately very seriously considering the private school route because of this.
Yep.
Because we will do whatever it takes in our life to do what's best for our sons, the one that's been born and the one that's still in my wife's stomach. And if we're considering this, how many others are as well? How many others are as well? And I don't want anyone for a single second to think I blame the bus drivers. And I don't want anyone for a single second to think I blame the teachers. I learned this morning on Real Talk, Nikki Chambliss was on the show. Nikki Chambliss was a school bus driver. Nikki Chambliss was a school bus driver for Albemarle County Public Schools. She said this problem has been going on for over 10 years.
Yeah.
We knew 10 years ago, Nikki Chambliss, a school bus driver, said 10 years ago we knew that there was a bus driver shortage. 10 years ago. This didn't happen overnight. And if you don't hold leadership accountable for a problem that's persisted for 10 years, then what do you hold them accountable for? This has been going on for 10 years. 10 years, they've had an opportunity to solve this riddle. Vanessa leaves these comments. If those are the top 3 priorities for a school system, where does educating the student shake out? I'd say that's number 4. If you can't get the kids to school on time, how can you educate them? The Henley Western kids on bus number 179 are showing up to school somewhere between 2 and 3 hours late. If they get to school between 2 or 3 hours late, who cares what you're teaching them? They're not there to learn it. If the kids aren't in the classroom, how do they learn? Get them to school safely on time. Number 1 priority. Get them home safely on time. Number 2 priority. Number 3 priority, make sure the classroom setting is equitable for everyone. Jump in here, please. Your perspective is so valued here. And why it's valued is because you're not clouded by being a parent. You're a single man with no kids.
I mean, I could respond to any one of those things. I don't know if I can respond to all of them at the same time. I think the problem is more than just that they've had 10 years to figure this out. Because I'm sure there are similar stories all across the United States of this problem intensifying and schools not knowing how to fix it. And I know that the simple solution is just to throw money at it, but you have to know that that's not how things work. And I understand that that they shouldn't be wasting money trying to change the names of the schools. I think it's absurd too. Like Sutherland. Does any child in any school across the United States associate Sutherland with racism? I mean, I know I'm older, so I know this actor, but
here's what was posted on the Instagram, and then I apologize for interrupting you. I will stop. This was posted on the Instagram by Matt Daring about Sutherland. Just to add who we were choosing to commemorate before the renaming happened. Mortimer Y. Sutherland served on the school board and board of supervisors and was the lone vote to uphold a ban on all school athletic and social activities if they resulted in joint participation by white and black students. Sutherland had also sought to reappoint a member of the school board who supported the segregation of white and black children for athletic and social activities.
I mean, he sounds like a crappy human being.
Crappy human being, no doubt about it.
Do kids really care about the names of their schools?
79.4% of the parents did not. 79.4% of the parents said leave the school of Sutherland.
I certainly wouldn't as a kid. I don't know what any of the schools that I went to, their names meant. I went to one called Vieja Valley. I didn't know Spanish. I thought it was just a bunch of weird, like Vieja. I don't know what that is. I went to Deering. I don't know if it's named after someone. I don't know if it was a neighborhood. I have no idea what Deering means. And I think most kids have no clue who Sutherland is, who Jack Jewett were, unless they're directly being taught it in school, which is a good teaching moment rather than just sweeping these people under the rug and pretending they never existed. Like, wouldn't you much rather have your kids know, look, we made mistakes. We will continue to make mistakes. Somebody made the mistake of naming this school after a absolute trash piece of humanity. And the fact that we're teaching you about it means that you have a chance to not become another trash human being like that guy. I would much rather my kids learn the reason why that guy was a piece of trash than to go to a school called Journey and just have the whole thing whitewashed and pretend that we didn't have a horrible, horrible past. But what are you going to do? And
Journey Middle School, was it named after the band?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Is the principal going to start singing "Don't Stop Believing" in the hallway?
It doesn't matter. The point is, there is no teachable moment there. There's just a school with a weird name, and I don't know how much they spent on those things. I don't think it really matters. But I also, to argue the other side, the answer, I don't know how Louisa got the money to pay their bus drivers more.
What do you mean? They got the money from the budget.
Okay.
They reallocated money that was for one line item to another line item. It's a set yearly budget. You have an allowance of $50 a month. You can take that $50 a month and buy 50 Snickers bars, or you can take that $50 a month and buy 25 Snickers bars and 60 bouncy balls.
But do we know that? Do we know that?
What do you mean?
Do we know that the money to change the names of the schools came from just their straight budget? All these schools just decided to add this to their budget.
The school rebranding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you say it's so, then...
That's what they did. Where else does the money come from?
I don't know.
There's no auxiliary...
I don't know, Jerry.
The sources of funding for the school are taxpayer local, Commonwealth, and some federal.
Yeah.
There's no GoFundMe.
You just said...
They're not running a GoFundMe account to take Sutherland and make a Journey.
I never said they were.
I mean, it's public record. But you know what's shady as all get out?
But it's not public record.
I know,
because
I was just
you
about to
said
say
that on the feed, that you don't know, and so that's my question.
It's so shady.
Is
Why
it federal?
can't we find the money? Why can't we find how much it costs to rebrand the schools? Dude, I have spent hours looking for this. Someone figure out how much money, find the exact dollar amounts it costs to rebrand the schools. You won't be able to. This thing is missing in action, this line item.
And also find where they got the money.
Yeah.
Because I find it hard to believe that they would just completely change their budgets for 1 year or however many years they choose to take that money out in order for all these schools to do this at the same time. I feel like there has to be something more involved. There has to be some federal mandate or some word passed down the line from on high saying, "Look, we got to get rid of these, these poor optic school names." I don't know.
Bad Runners. One of the Facebook pages on I Love Seville Food put these comments in there. First off, it's almost 18 degrees every morning when we wake up in Central Virginia during winter. That 18 degrees is when people are waiting by the bus, and oftentimes it's colder than that. Try being on Afton Mountain during the winter. It can easily get on the single digits consistently.
That's fair.
The same person said you'd have more bus drivers if they did not require the drivers to name all parts under the hood. They're drivers, they're not mechanics. It's part of the CDL. The same person said all staff that works for the transportation department is required to have a CDL and can drive buses, but right now they are choosing not to drive them. That's
choosing not to drive them. I mean, that's a little bit. I got to call you out on that.
It's what they put in the feed.
I know, but it's like saying that the superintendent of the school should be driving a bus every day. You might as well say that you should just take a few hours off of work and go drive kids around for 5 hours a day.
Isn't that the job?
I don't think the job of the superintendent is to shirk whatever duties they actually have. Now,
The job of the superintendent is not to get the kids to school on time?
come on. You and I both know that they have a job. They're not getting paid to drive around kids all day.
But isn't the job of the superintendent to make the school system run efficiently?
Probably, but that doesn't mean riding around in a bus all day.
We agree to disagree on that one, and for the sake of a talk show, we'll move on and not argue about this point. From my standpoint, if the leader of the school has a crisis on his hands, and he undoubtedly has a crisis on his hands, the leader of the school should be the stopgap and come in and fix the problem and help solve it. But we'll agree to disagree on that one. Dude, this situation is a mess. And the families that are in the position, the families that are in similar positions as my family, and it's far from wealthy. You would call us middle class, maybe upper middle class. Upper middle class, right? Somewhere between middle and upper middle class. These families are doing creative things to put their kids in private schools. And it's causing enrollment to drop. And when the enrollment drops, the funding from the Commonwealth drops. And you're left with a school system that is like segregated based on financial class. And the sociological and anthropological impacts and effects of that won't be known for some time. Just like we won't know what the collateral damage is of COVID and learning at home for the public schools in the coat closet through a crappy internet signal, your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. When the wealthy kid down the street was able to learn in person, in a classroom, with his or her peers, with the teacher teaching them in front of a chalkboard. We will not know the collateral damage of that for years to come. But the fact that this segregation of financial class is riding the coattails of virtual and in-person learning during the pandemic amplifies the problem. It amplifies it. And it's a hot mess. And it keeps me up at night. I swear to God, it keeps me up at night. Stuff didn't keep me up at night till I had kids. I didn't get, parents, can you relate to this? Nothing kept me up at night until our son was born. Nothing's kept me up at night more than number 2 on the near horizon. You want to say anything else? Thought you've done a great job today.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that.
I don't know.
This is a comment that we hadn't even thought of. Are you ready for this one?
Sure.
This is from Bill McChesney. How about the kids that don't have the money for food at home, that are using the free food program, that are missing out on the meals because they don't get to school on time?
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that. Did you?
Certainly not. They would lose. I mean, I don't know exactly how the programs work, but yeah, it seems like they would be missing at least breakfast.
Yeah. Jesus. Didn't even think about that one, did we, guys? The kids that need the meals at school, who are getting to school late and missing the meals at school. Bill McChesney, I have driven 4 corners of the county. The first kid picked up is often the last one picked up. He also said there are numerous kids on the buses that are in the free breakfast club. They will let you know if you don't get them there in time for them to get their muffins and their juice. Dude, we didn't even think about that. It shows our privilege there, right? That we didn't even think about that. What's worse than the kids getting to school 2 hours late? The kid that's getting to school 2 hours late that's missing his breakfast and lunch because his mom and dad can't afford the food at home. That is a crisis. Right?
Yeah.
Did you think about that?
I mean, it's not something that I would have any reason to think about.
Right, because of our privilege, right?
Well, no, because I don't have a kid in school.
Because you had food at home. Do you even want to get to the other topics? I say we save them for tomorrow.
Sure.
I try to come up with some solutions here. Multiple folks have asked for solutions. So far, the solutions I've presented on the talk show. One of them was John Blair's solution of
Younger students.
Bringing back...
Or older students.
Yeah, the seniors in high school, training them for CDLs. The 18-year-old seniors.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, but I just don't know the logistics or the laws behind what would make that viable or not.
I mean, he's the city attorney for Stanton.
Yeah.
And he's proposing this idea. He was the city attorney for the city of Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And he's the one-time interim city manager for Charlottesville.
All right. Well, then
So if there's someone, and he's a lawyer.
If that means it's all copacetic, then...
I mean, if there's one person that I trust with ideas like this, it's probably John Blair.
It is a great idea. I mean,
his whole job is to prevent legal exposure for the municipalities he represents.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Mm-hmm.
So, solutions. All right, how about this? This is from Speech and Debate. I did speech and debate throughout high school. My sons will do speech and debate, also called AKA forensics. This is how you finish a debate you want to win and get first place. In conclusion, here are the solutions that I present to solve this crisis. Solution number 1, let's consider what we have done in the past that has worked previously. And let's please consider a training program where we take seniors in high school in their second semesters or first semesters and we train them to potentially get a CDL and to be bus drivers should they choose. Responsible seniors with a proven track record of maturity. Option 2, let's consider smaller vehicles like vans that do not require CDLs. Vans that we often see sports teams driving to and from games, baseball teams, basketball teams, soccer teams. Let's utilize these vans as a stopgap measure to help this crisis. Option 3, let's reprioritize dollars from rebranding efforts, and let's allocate those dollars, my friends, to paying teachers and bus drivers more money. And to further strengthen my argument of option 3, consider the Louisa County public school system, a public school system that is completely full with bus drivers right now. And how they got completely full with bus drivers right now is not because of the restaurants, the amenities, and all the cool things to do in the thriving metropolis that is Mineral and Louisa County. Oh, no, 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 no. Instead, all they did was pay Louisa drivers more money than their competitors in Albemarle, Charlottesville, Orange, Greene. You get my point. And lastly, as a fourth option, please consider that your parents and your taxpayers are begging, pleading, demanding, and asking you to solve this immediately. They're asking you to stop rebranding schools, start solving this and making it the priority. And perhaps you even consider bringing back, at least in the short term, and I'm hesitant to say this, a hybrid learning scenario where on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, until this crisis is alleviated, some students learn at home remotely, helping the bus driver routes to have less demand. The following week, they can learn remotely on Tuesdays and Thursdays, while the Monday and Wednesday, Friday kids who went to school the previous week alternate days the following week. This would diminish demand for the routes, which would help kids get to school on time. The hybrid scenario is a bleak, bleak, bleak solution. It's far from positive and far from a great outcome. But in the short term, it could be what is needed. And that, my friends, is how you present an argument with clarity and straightforwardness. For Judah Wickower, my name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love Seville Show.